Good evening, all. This is Karen,
And I'm Delasber.
and this evening we will be talking about how do you define resilience? Working through the pain. So, how do you all define resilience? Because working through pain takes some type of resilience, some type of, I don't want to say superpower, but some type of coping mechanism. What helps you get through whatever tough time you are going through. Um, it's important to have them. And, if you don't, then we'll work through how to start figuring those things out and how you can hopefully attain something to help you get through your tough time.
You know, being, I always like saying, being Amory's mom, I get the pleasure of going down those journeys many different times. It's, I think people think resilience is something you're either born with or you're not. But that's not really true.
Mm-hmm.
Resilience is a muscle that you can develop and you can make stronger. And if you don't use it, like all other muscles, it weakens. So I think that we need to make sure that we are using that muscle more than we might need to. Yeah, it's exactly. Facebook user, I don't know who you are. Would you please write your name in the box so that I can, in the chat so that I can see? Because it just shows us Facebook user. But yeah, that's something that accumulates over time. It is not something that you just, well, I'm not going to say that. There may be some people who are born resilient people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes I think some of our kids, some of our children are born resilient. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Uh, I think some of our kids are born resilient, and I especially think a lot of our kids on the spectrum are born with an extremely overzealous resilience muscle. Let me say that.
Mm-hmm.
They exactly, especially our awesome ones. Yeah, I think that they have a, as you called it, Karen, a superpower that we as neurotypical people can't even begin to tap into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Amory has taught me to be resilient. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a concept that you have to work on. I've learned that there's some keys to unlocking your resilience. I tend to say that it's powerful. It's powerful. Um, and the keys, there are five keys, and I go into them in my resilience masterclass. But I just want you to know that one of them is, and that is my extreme one for me, is own your own ish. Own your ish. We as human beings, we as people, we as Homo sapiens seem to always own the bad stuff about us. The stuff that, I can't do this well, I don't do this well, I look this way, I don't look this way, I have a bad temper, I have this bad attitude, I get people angry, I do all this. But the stuff that we do well, we kind of push it off. We act like, oh, that's nothing. That's nothing. But that's a resilience muscle that we got to build up, because us being able to do that stuff well is what keeps us building resilience in times of pain. A lot of us, when we get in our painful moments, we run to the things that we do well because it's easy for us. It gives us a little bit of push to know, ooh, I can do this. Let me get this done. Ooh, I can do this. Let me get this done. I can remember when Amory was in the hospital, and it's so strange because I came home because y'all, this is probably gonna be TMI, but when you're going through some stuff, you forget to take care of yourself. And I had to come home after about a week and a half and take a shower because I realized I hadn't showered since she went to the hospital. And I came home and her dad was at the hospital with her. And the first thing I did when I got to my house was not even shower. The first thing I did was go into my dining room where my piano is and sit down and start playing because that's the thing that I knew I can do this well because I couldn't handle anything else that was going on in my life. But I knew if I sat down and put my hands on those keys, I could control what those keys did. And that built up my resilience. And then I was able to get up, shower, and get back to the hospital. But I had to do that little exercise and own my ish, own the fact that I'm an awesome musician. And it had to pull me back through a lot of the pain that I was in. So what I want to know from you guys, and you especially, Karen, but all of you all who watching, thank you so much. I see you. Make sure you say hello so that we'll know who you are. I want to know what you do in times of stress for you, because that's the thing that's going to be your resilience muscle. And we've got to tap into that. So please let me know what you do. And Karen, I'd like to know about you because I know being a nurse practitioner, you have got to have that muscle built up strong.
Well, let's see. For me, getting through the pain is, and whether it's work pain or work woes, um, in the beginning, it was tough. So in the beginning, I would cry. I went through stages of it, actually. I didn't even know it went in stages, but it did. It does, right? Because after it gets to the point where you have built up enough of that muscle, as you say it is, right? Thank God muscle has memory. And when you hit those hard times, you automatically go into whatever that is. So for me, in the beginning, when things were tough, I would cry, right? Um, and it's like I'm just doing all the CPR trying to save this patient's life and they still die. I'm intubating and they still die. I'm putting essential on and they still die. So it's hard for me to deal with the deaths because this is not like you get a phone call or it's been time like months, and that's even worse when you spent so much more time with them. But when someone just immediately dies in front of you, immediately, it takes you back. But in my position, I can't walk away. So in that moment, I have to deal with it. So in that moment, I cried. After crying came talking to them. After talking to them came me and my coworkers would, I don't know, talk about lunch, talk about something different. Like it went all in stages for us. There was a point where, especially during COVID, we just could not. It was just like, okay, now let's move to the next. We didn't have time to process. So for us, healthcare workers, it goes in stages. So there was one point when I was just mean. I would come home and just be mean. I would yell, I would scream because I didn't know how to deal with the emotions and what it was doing to me. And it took my husband and my kids to say, boy, every time you come home, you're so mean. I'm like, I am? Really? Never thought about that. So this time, with COVID, I wasn't mean. I was just quiet. I was just completely quiet. So how I got through, well, I'm still getting through that because being that it's still here. But the first round of it, come home, you take off your clothes, you jump in the shower, and then I would go in my room in the dark and pray. And my prayer was always, thank you for helping me get through the day. Please don't let me get this to bring it home to my husband and kids. When will I ever be able to see my mother again? Like, it was always one of those things. So for me, it went in stages. And now, it's kind of like I can go to my Zen place. I can say, okay, when things really are not that serious, because the job is stressful, right? So for me, in order for me not to be overwhelmed and put my body into sensory shutdown, I say, all right, I have a diffuser in my office. I put my diffuser on. I put the music on, and it has these lights that change color on it, and I can change the mood of so I do that. I close my blinds, and I just set whatever mood is going to actually bring me into the calm space mentally and physically that I need. Because if I only had to do that for 1 or 2 hours, do that job for 1 or 2 hours, it wouldn't, getting through the 1 or 2 hours, you'd be like, oh, I can do this. Excuse me. And you would do it with no problem. But when you have to go 10, 12 hours in the same thing over and over and over again, you have to find a way to cope. So for me, that's what I do. It works. It makes me feel better, and it gives me that energy. So when I have that moment when I go on to lunch, I make sure I go in. I have a spray that I use in the room to set the tone in the room. I take a deep breath in. It's like lavender and lemongrass from lovely Aquila. From lovely Aquila. And I use it every day at work. I take deep breaths in, and I make sure that I can just ground myself and definitely make sure that I take it in and I have moments. And it helps me a lot. It helps me to relax, helps me to find clarity. Because if it's something going on and I need to focus on whatever it is. Right, Zena. Zena's correct. Zena is very much correct. And it all helps. The smells, the environment, the music, the lights, it all helps. It helps me 1,000%. And the tone in my suite is very much calm. Everybody in the suite is calm. Every single person I work with is calm. Now one of them listens to it was like Beethoven he was listening to. He was like, is this bothering you? I'm like, no, I'm just surprised you're listening to it. He was like, it calms me. And I'm glad he said, well, we picked this up from you because I play jazz. I tell you all the time, I play jazz. I play, what's that? Neo soul. I play all different, anything calming. I go for it because you have to change the tone. You definitely have to change the tone. You definitely have to change the mood. So for me, that's how I do it. I mean, it just works for me. And I try to encourage others to do that. But also I have a great support system. So if I can't get to that right away, I pick up my phone. I'll text you, D, or I'll text Tanya, and I'm just saying, hey, and they'll say, and the first thing you gotta say is, how's your day? And if it's not going right, because I'll take a pause and I'll be like, well, so I mean, I have other outlets, so it's important to make sure that you have it. But you playing that piano, I think that's amazing. But music does something that is amazing that people overlook. It really does something to people. So many people overlook it. It's an amazing tool to use. I mean, they reach a lot of children through music. A lot of children that can't speak, they are reached through music, through art. So there's so many different things you could do. There's a lot of people that draw. At one point, I was writing poetry and just write. I have books of it. I was just writing poetry because that was my release. That helped me. When my father-in-law passed away, I wrote like 5 a sixth form just sitting in my mother-in-law's office at her, at her job, and she was like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm around." Just, you know, it
Mhm.
it just took me to another place because he was an awesome man. So, and I had to put that down on paper because it was not gonna just sitting in my mind wasn't enough. So I had to put it down and honor him, which is what I did. And my mother-in-law just loved it. So, I mean, there's so many different ways to do things to keep you in the way of sanity so you don't lose it.
I know. Tanya says music is a beautiful thing and it's helped
It
me
is.
through so much. It's an outlet for me. I agree. I started playing when I was I started playing when I was 3. I started taking piano when I was 6, and it has been my guiding force. Uh, I really music was my life for so many years. I was the church musician, and one church I actually was their musician for 31 years before I left. And the only reason I left was because I had Amory and I couldn't handle her and the piano anymore. And for a while, I didn't play. I stopped playing when my father passed because he was really who I played for, I thought. I thought that I wanted to be a musician because he wanted me to be one, but I found out later I loved it myself. But my husband bought me this piano and he was like one day, I just wish that you play for me. I just wish you play for me. And I was like, you don't understand. When I play, it's for me and I don't want anybody in the house. So I don't play very often at all because no one can be here when I do, because it's just for me to connect with my higher power, not
Mm-hmm.
being involved with anybody else. And it's a source of light and energy. Like Zena said, she said music is a powerful source of energy, and it really is. I don't know if people realize that music transcends all languages and it warms the heart, it touches the heart and soul of people quicker than anything. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm listening for coughing that might turn into something else. Resilience is a noun, but in a sense, it's also an action word
Yeah.
because you cannot be resilient sitting still. Now, when I say sitting still, I don't
Mm-hmm.
mean sitting on this seat like I'm doing right now still. I mean without being in motion to make things happen. What is it? God helps those who help themselves. Is that how it goes? Zena, is that how it goes? I know you know.
That's
Uh,
how it goes.
exactly. Exactly, Tanya. It's also a verb, action of moving forward, doing adversity. Exactly. And if you sit in your mess, and when I say your mess, that could mean the pain that you're in, that could mean
Mm-hmm.
the bad situation that you're in, that could
Mm-hmm.
mean a bad marriage that you're in, that could mean
Mm-hmm.
a whole bunch of stuff that you're sitting in. If you sit there in it, that doesn't no good. It's not going to do you any good. Only when you start to make moves to make things better is it going to make any difference to you. If if we can look at resilience at seeing it not so much, I've learned, I'll say this, I've learned that my resilience doesn't have to be a quick thing. Now, I'm trying to make it move a little bit quicker than it does sometimes, don't get me wrong. But as long as you're moving and you're staying on a higher plane and stepping up to a higher plane, and every step you make is going higher, that's building your resilience. You don't always have to get out of the stuff. You don't always have to let it go. And know this, just because you're resilient in this factor, in this thing that you're going through, does not mean the next thing that comes at you that you're going to be just fine. You're going to have to build that same muscle back up again
Mm-hmm.
because you lose
Yeah.
it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I remember saying it seemed to me that Amory was getting a diagnosis every year, a new diagnosis. And I was having to pile stuff on top of stuff and pile stuff
Mm-hmm.
on top of stuff. And then one time in 2020, not only was I piling Amory's stuff on top of stuff, but then I was piling people's deaths on top of that. And it just seemed like I could, no matter what I did, I could never get out of it. I was just in this rolling tumble down this big hill, and I could not stop tumbling. I couldn't stop. My resilience muscle was getting very, very weak because I had so much on me. But then I had to say, you know what? I got to come out of this. I got to put on the brakes. And that's when I have to stop and say, what can I handle? What can I not handle? What do I have control over? What do I not have control over?
Mm-hmm.
And Warren has this one thing that his friend taught him. And he tells me all the time, how important is this thing to you? And I'd say, it's very important, whatever it was. I'd be like, it's very important. And he was like, so who put the importance on it? And I said, I did. It's important to me. And he said, so who could take the importance off of it? And he still
Mm-hmm.
tells me that now. And I have to go through a lot of things that worry me and that I struggle with and go, hmm, one thing in particular, who, how important is it to me to have my floor clear of paper? It really, for me, is
Mm-hmm.
really important. Okay. It's like a serious thing to me. Who put the importance of my floor being clear of paper up there with the highly important things? I did.
Mm-hmm.
So when my daughter gets in her moods, which is 24/7, and puts paper all over my floor, who can let that go? Because if I had power over it in the first place, I can handle how much power it has over me.
Mm-hmm.
So I started learning that stuff that I gave power over me, I let go. Stuff that I have no power over, I let go. Because all it's going to do is make me a nervous wreck. And that's not going to work. That's how you build your resilience muscle. You decide, what can I deal with? What can I handle? What do I have control over? And stuff I don't have control over is out of my control. So guess what? There's nothing I can do with it. It's not important anymore because I have no control over it. I just have to go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens. And when the Almighty decides to make a change, He'll make a change. But until then, oh well, life happens. Build your resilience muscle. Come to my masterclass. Check me out. Check me out on my Facebook page. I have 5 keys, and I promise you, those 5 keys can make you make it through your life. It's not hard at all. What do you have to say, Miss Karen?
Well, I love the fact that you said that, it doesn't build unless you move. I mean, that was that's amazing because it's very true. When you sit in it, it piles up. It's gonna pile up anyway, but if it's gonna pile up, I'd rather be developing some tools to handle it while it's piling up. So I'll know what is important and what is not important. Because you're right. You things that you cannot control, you had to let it go. But you also have to be able to put things in the proper category because if it's not going to matter in 5 minutes, if it's not going to change my life, then guess
Mhm.
what? It probably really doesn't matter. It really, I can't put too much emphasis on it. I can't give it that power because when you give it the power, it starts to develop and start to take over you, and you just focus on that one thing. And the whole time, you could never do anything about it anyway. The things you can control are the things that you should be worrying about because if you control it, you can stop when you want to stop. You can let it. You can push play when you want to hear it. Like you have control over that. So, and all that does is create a horrible anxiety that just will spiral out of control after a while. And then next thing you know, you have they want to put you on medication. And it's not about that. It's just because the mind is powerful.
Very.
The mind is very powerful, and people think that our mind controls us. No, we control our mind because we put those thoughts up there. We can change them in a second. And yes, it will. It can develop. What is that saying? The last one that we talked about, the mind develops a negative thought. How many seconds? It's like every 2 seconds, every
That's
something like
right.
that.
That is right, baby. It's something you
And
just.
we can change it. We can change it. So it's important to move. And I know it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. Please don't think that's what I'm saying. It is hard. But the best thing you can do for yourself is move. Get up and move because it will help you not to sit in it and it will give your mind something else to think about. And as you're sitting in it, you're like, okay, I got to get up. You got to get up. You got to move. I think of
Mm-hmm.
the movie. What was that movie? Tyler Perry directed for Colored Girls. You know the movie I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about. And when they were on that young girl that lost her kids, Felicia Rashad came in there and she said she opened the curtains and she was like, "You gotta breathe," because that girl was sitting, and it was a horrible thing. I mean, every time I watched the movie, I would just tear up. I just cried. It was a horrible thing, and she was living with a heck of a lot. And she had that support system because yes, she was a nosy neighbor, but that nosy neighbor helped her do something that she could not do was to take a breath. And when she finally took the breath, she was able to get some type of clarity and move. Because had she not done that, she wouldn't have been able to go up on that roof and just get a hug. It was hard for her, and I just could not imagine that. So just
Mm-hmm.
it's, and I know that was a tragic point that I brought up, but sometimes things make us feel that tragic. It makes us feel that down, that low, and breathing through it and learning how to breathe is important. Breathing is important. Yes, Tanya, she did. She breathed life back into her. Yes, she did. And that's what having that resilience will do for you. It will help you breathe back into yourself. Yes, yes, yes. I love it, Zena. Very, very true. I mean, it was touching, right? And I was like, wow, and every time you watch it, you see different things. For me, you see something different, but it's so easy to sit in something. It's so easy to sit in it. But I know that if you want a change, you have to get up and make the change. You can't expect something different when you keep doing the same thing. You have to get up and change. And if the change means, you know what, I'm going to get up and walk today, 30 minutes. I need to clear my mind, then do it. Because eventually you'll start to realize that, oh my gosh, now it's not really, it's bothering me, but now I have something else to combat it. All right, now, I did 30 minutes, now I'm going to do an hour. And it starts becoming repetition. It starts becoming a habit, but it's a good habit to form. And it helps you to get through it. So now you can go back to the music, Delasber, and I can go back to writing, and I can go to the Zen place, and you can do all these things, and it will definitely help you get through it because resilience is very important to have in life, period. Because there's so many people that don't have that, right? They don't have that. And like I did say, it was a superpower, but it is like our superpower. People in general, they need to have something to look back on. You know, Superman is not real, but his concept of, you know, and it's not he was saving other people, but what we're doing with resilience is saving ourselves. You're saving yourself. And that's a big deal. When you have the urge to live and you have the willpower to want to see another day, you definitely make sure that you do it in baby steps. Yes, Zena, you do it in baby steps. And those baby steps become, okay, something that you can actually, you know, it makes your foundation even stronger. So when you have these moments, you can fall back on those onto your foundation and say, you know, because that foundation you made very strong. At first it was weak, but you getting up and doing it every day, now you have this cement foundation. And before it was just, you know, weak. It was just straw. And now you've built it and you've made it so strong with the cement that now you can actually stand on it and rely on it. Because before it was weak. You didn't know, you was wobbling this way, wobbling that way, because it was just straw. Now you have cement. Now you have a foundation. So you can say, oh, wow, you know what? Not that I want this pain, but now I know what to do with it when it comes. Now I know where to put it in my life. If it has no value, don't put it in your life. Don't give it light. Don't give it power, because you help it grow. But if it's something that is going to, you have to deal with, you have to know how to deal with it in little spurts. If it's 10, deal with 2 today, 2 the next day, and 2 the next day. Because if it's still going to be the same 10, it doesn't matter how you deal with it. Don't try to take it all in one chunk, because that will weigh you down and stress you out. Take it in small bits. Take it in small bits. And eventually you'll realize you got through it. Now you built that foundation. It's a heck of a lot stronger. And you're like, okay, and guess what? When something else comes again, your body be like, I remember that. This is what we did the last time. This is what we're going to do this time. And yeah, when things happen, you got to pivot. But remember, you're pivoting on concrete, not pivoting on straw. So, I mean, that is a big deal. That is a big deal. And people don't realize how strong they are until they realize, wow, you know what? I did this. I did this. That's a big deal. And when you come to it, and because we all come to it, you give yourself a round of applause. Clap yourself up and say, you know what? I did this. Because when no one else is going to do it, and why not big yourself up first? Everybody doesn't know what you're going through. Everybody does not know what you're going through. And then when you do it, and then you tell your sister, and your sister could be your neighbor, your sister could be your coworker. It doesn't always have to be immediate family. You know, a support system is not only built with immediate family. So, I mean, you're right, Ms. Jenkins, little by little. It's important. You take it all, you know, that one step at a time, one day at a time, all the church songs come into play. Everything comes into play because it starts to make sense. And my mother would play the songs. I'm like, why is this woman playing these songs? But now it makes sense to me that it's just important. It is important. It's very important. Having a solid foundation is very important, because when it's weak, you start doubting your own self. As soon as the wind blows, you're like, wait, I'm over here. And we're again, oh, I'm over here. And you don't know what to think, because you have no clarity. You can't function. And you're like, what am I doing? And you're just spiraling out of control. It's because you're letting it control you. But once you realize who you are and find you, because you find yourself in some, when you find and when you're looking for something, you find yourself in that, when you're down in that place. The person that you never knew you could be, back in your mind is like, I can do that. But then something else tells you, nope, let's not, or I can't. And like I said before, can't is not a word that I use in my household, and I don't allow my kids to use that word, but because it's defeating to you, and it's negative. It's negative. When you are in a deep, dark place, you don't need negativity, because all it does is push you further down. So you build that foundation. Straw is weak. And that's not what you want. You can crack an ankle on straw, especially when you're trying to build it up high. You can't go up. Now, come on. Foundation has to be strong. Strong foundation. And as you know, as Delasber said, things are piling and they're piling on top of you. You got to figure out how you're going to get through it. So your resilience No matter where you started from, the more you build it, the stronger your foundation gets. And eventually, at the end of it, you have concrete. And concrete is pretty strong. I mean, it's very, I mean, I'm just saying, concrete is pretty strong. So I mean, I just love the fact that that is what we are doing and we will continue to do. And when you need to, you know, figure out what to do, as the last one said, take her master class because it's awesome. And people don't realize that they have so many things in them that really need just a little tweak. And you're like, oh, wait, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. That can't turns into a can because you can do anything you want. Anything in this world is possible. Never count yourself out. The world already does that for you. So don't do it to yourself. Be your
Mhm.
own cheerleader. I don't care if it's a section of one. That's you. You rock out for you. Because when people realize your section is really popping, like you winning over here, you may have some spectators, you may have some haters, but the ones who are rocking for you will come out and support you, and then you'll have a whole squad cheering for you on that strong foundation of cement that you created. So I think that's like amazing. I mean, I don't know who else agrees with me. I don't want to keep talking about how great you all are because you all are great. I mean, women are just amazing in general because, of course, I'm a woman, so I'm very much to that. I'm loving it. But just in general, I think what we go through is, man, listen, what women go through. And the last one being a mom of my amazing baby girl. I mean, I love Avery. I love Avery. I do. She can do no wrong in my eyes. I tell you that right away. She can do no wrong in my eyes. But women are amazing. We're amazing. And you see the smile on Delasber's face, even after what she told you. Oh, when Amory got diagnosed, when Amory did this, and she's smiling. And she probably wasn't doing that in the beginning, right? But that resilience muscle. Now she got a strong foundation. She has a amazing, amazing, amazing support team. She has support from different countries. Like she has support all over. You just never know, you know, the superhero that lives in you. Everybody has a hero in them. Everybody. Everybody.
And Karen, that's what I want to say because a lot of times we tend to think that our support system has to be right here, right here, right here, and right here. Support is everywhere. It's up to you to look for it. And it's up to you to recognize it when it comes because
Mm.
there's this story my daddy used to tell, and now my husband tells. I don't even know how he found the story, but my daddy used to tell about this man that there was a flood and he was on the roof and he kept praying, God save me, God save me. And a boat came by and the man asked the man, you want to ride? And the man said, no, no, I'm waiting on God. So the boat went on about his business. And then a helicopter came. You want to ride? No, no, I'm waiting on God. Then somebody else came. You want to ride? No, no, I'm waiting on God. Of course, the waters overtook him. And he got up to heaven and he said, God, I thought you were going to save me. And God said, well, I sent a boat, a helicopter. What else did you want?
Mm.
He's sending all these people. And that's the one thing I had to learn is that within our, and I'm just going to use my world because I deal with autism so much. Within my world of autism, there's so many moms who don't even know that there's support systems for other moms.
Mm.
They are that mom's support system. It doesn't mean that they have to be right there beside them. But the one thing they have to do is they have to get to know each other. So you got to reach out to each other. You got to
Mm-hmm.
form your own communities. That's what I did. I formed my own community. And then I had a community of people at home who just knew Amory. And they started, when Amory would get sick, they'd start sending out because basically all I'd have to do was go on to Amory has an Amory's Journey page. And I'd go on there and I sometimes I just write in ambulance. And the next thing I know, I was getting messages from all over the world praying, 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 praying. When we took her off life support, I had one gentleman in Africa call call Facebook Live at the exact moment that they were taking her off life support and start praying. That's what you have to do. And that's what I'm trying to do with my Autism Mom group because I have the Autism Mom Resilience group. You guys, please join it. I'm going to put the link up there for you. It's it's up to us to help us.
Mm.
And I can't help you. No greater love can't help you if I don't know you exist. So it's up to you to reach out to me because I'm already reaching out. But it's up to you to reach out to me and join the group. It's Autism Mom Resilience. That's it. When you look on Facebook groups, Autism Mom Resilience, you find it. Join it. We're doing an Autism Mom Resilience retreat in November. I promise you, you do
Mm-hmm.
not want to miss this retreat. This retreat is going to combine and join together a force of mamas that will be a force to be reckoned with. I have a force of support systems, for support staff who will be there. That autism moms, let me tell you, most of us cannot afford to pay these people for the knowledge that they bring into the world and the knowledge they're going to bring into that room to us over that weekend. Get on my calendar. Yes, yes, Zena. Yes, yes. Accept the help is sent. Get on the calendar. Let me know that you're interested. Let's talk. Okay? You can do this. We can do this together. It's all about doing together. There's my link. It's all about doing this together. You fight better together than you do alone. And I don't mean physically fight, but in the world that we live in, and it's not just autism mom world, it's everyday world. It's the
Mm-hmm.
COVID world. In the world
Mm-hmm.
that we live in, we are fighting things we don't know what we're fighting. So it's up to us to join together and be able to say, how do you think that the doctors are able to say now this Omicron variant of COVID-19 causes people to have headaches? That's different from the other one. And when I started having a headache, I went, oh, wait, maybe I do have COVID. So then I needed to go get checked. And when I got tested, guess what? I had COVID. But because I got tested, I didn't go see my 91-year-old mama, who I would have taken COVID to. Y'all, step up, be about the business of community.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot succeed in this life alone. And if you try to walk the autism journey alone, for lack of a better word, you will not succeed. You can't do it alone. Your children don't need you to do it alone because that is the hardest thing you will ever have to deal with in your life, probably. My life is not easy, but I make it because I'm not doing it alone. I can call Karen, I can call my friend. I have one friend that calls me and says, okay, I can take no more. I'm turning the camera on Zoom. Call his iPad. I'm putting it on Zoom. He will sit and talk to you. And I sit and babysit her son all the way. I'm in Louisiana. He's in North Carolina. And she can step away and get something to drink, get something to eat because I'm watching him and I know how to get in touch with her if he needs her. Get you a community. We're out there. We're just waiting for you to step to us because we already got our arms open wide for you. That's how you build your resilience muscle. You build a strong community around you, a community of support, and not a community of negativity. Make sure your support is positive. Make sure your support is built on a solid foundation because we don't need your support collapsing. Because if your support goes down, you go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Build your support up. And I am complete.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I agree 1000%. When you have that support, that community, it helps with your resilience. It helps keep you strong. You need it. You need it. You need it. You
Yeah.
need it. So it's important. It's very, very important. Build it up, keep it up. And when you feel weak, make a phone call. You know, make a phone call, send a text message. Let us know we're out there. We're waiting. We're waiting. We are 1000%, 1,000,000% waiting for you to reach out and say, hey, you know, like I said, I talk to Delasber every day. You know, I call them. I call every day. I ask about AIM every day. Every day I ask about AIM because
She actually asked about Amy before she asked about me. But that's all right.
yeah, yeah. But because I know it's not easy, you know, and it's not easy. And I was actually planning a trip to Louisiana, but I got sick myself, so I could not come. But though I was sick, I talked to her every day. Sick, but I talked to her every day. And when she was sick, I said, "You probably have COVID. You probably should get checked." Turns out that's what she had. But when she had those days where she was down, I mean, there's one day, and may I share the last one.
Yes.
One day I was on talking to her, and then I said, "Let me talk to AIM." And as I'm talking to AIM, AIM was having a seizure, and I talked to her, and I'm quite sure even though she probably has seen it before, in that moment she probably was like trying to figure out like what should she do, and I'm like, but you know what? She's okay because she went to sleep, and then she woke up, and she looked at us, and she smiled. I'm like, well, you know what that is, right? She said, yep. But that's not easy for anybody to be so vulnerable because I'm no longer a stranger now, but practically I was. And I live in New York and she lives in Louisiana. The support is real. And who knew that we would be brought together in such a way? But of course, Dr. Ali has her own superpower, bringing people together in different parts of the world.
Yep.
But it's amazing. It's amazing, and I am blessed to be a part of the amazing women that I am a part of. I love them dearly. I will continue to say our tribe is amazing, and I mean, support is everything. Support is everything. Support is everything. Having a peace of mind is everything. Learning how to cope is everything. You know, with me is journaling, writing it down, getting it out, telling people, not people, but just pretty much writing it, getting stuff out is important. You have to definitely get it out. It helps you heal. It helps you heal. So, yes, Tanya. Yes, it is. I agree. Our tribe is amazing. So,
I'm going to say this. Get Karen's journal. It is
oh,
on a personal note journal.com. It is scrolling for you now. Make sure you pick that up. I also want to say for our ladies who are thinking about the amazing Autism Mom Resilience Retreat, our caring nurse practitioner, Karen Paige, will be there with us, giving us some tidbits on how to handle some medical diagnoses that we get for our babies. So you got her. And I promise you, you will not regret being a part of this retreat. So I'm hoping that I'll get to hear from all of you and that you will come on and say, guess what? I want to be there. We have both of our links going. Karen's is scrolling and mine is set on point. You guys, this has been wonderful. Build that resilience muscle. Get your power back. Talk to me when you talk to me about the retreat, and let's talk about my master class, and let's see what we can get you knowing about resilience and how you can unlock your power. Because I promise you, you will not ever want to lock it back up once you get it.
And on that note, we will bid you adieu. Have a good night, ladies. We love you. And we will be back tomorrow with a different topic. I don't know which one, but we'll be back. We love you. Have a good night.
Good night and good night.